Right, so this is just a run through on how to update your TFT Dash with the latest 2.0 software that has now been released. I've removed my left panel here and I've got the USB cable exposed. I've got the TFT update.zip on this drive. Now, the important thing is that it has to be called TFT update.zip, and it has just to be the first. The file has to be on the root of the drive, not in any folder or anything. It needs to be a zip file or a .zip. So once that's on there, I've got the tire pressure monitoring system hooked up there. I'm just going to take that, plug it in. There we go. And then I'll switch on my ignition. So it's my dash boot. It takes about 30 seconds for the USB drive to be recognised. But give it a minute and it'll update. It'll recognise the drive. There we go. So just let that go through. This is a fairly big update. So and you can see it's updating there. There's it's updating there. There's a whole load of new files that's getting installed onto the dash. Right, so once the update is complete, you will see this message down here. It'll say update complete. Please remove USB drive and switch off the ignition. So you can do just that. So I'm just going to unplug that. Right, so that's the update applied. So I'm going to switch my ignition back on again. And we will have a nice new version of the TFT Dash software. And there we go. So from the initial boot up, probably not much you'll notice has changed. Where you'll notice the differences is when you go into the menu options. So I'll just go through those now. So firstly, pressing the option button, menu looks a little bit different now. Reset trip 1 and 2 has been moved to the top. I'll just go through these one by one. You now have a new control setup option. So if I press select on that, you can now choose how you want your buttons to work. So you want option button on the left or select on the right, or vice versa. You can go ahead and just choose which, and this actually operates instantaneously. As soon as you press the button, then that button that the option you've chosen will then switch the button straight away, and it'll start working that way. So you'll have to use the reverse buttons to then start moving the little arrow across. But I'm going to leave it as it was before. Now you've got a new option here called set units. So now this is which has been much requested. So you can now obviously choose between miles and kilometers. When you do choose your units in kilometers, it'll also change your miles per gallon and your range to also be in liters per 100k and kilometers respectively. You can also choose your temperature to now be in Fahrenheit. So US owners will be happy about that one. So you can see my ambient temperature down at the bottom there has been changed to Fahrenheit, and my engine temperature is now reading in Fahrenheit, and the same will also be true for tire pressure as well. So so that will work, and you can also change your tire pressure to read in bar as well as PSI. So that's that option. Let's go down. The other options, obviously set time is the same as it was before. A new one is ambient light setup. Now what you've got here is now what this feature does, it turns on the light sensor at the back of the dash. So you'll probably notice right at the back here, there's a little light sensor. If I put my finger over that, you can see the light level drop. And so it's important when setting this up is to, at the moment, it's a really sunny, bright, clear day. So I'm reading a light level of 440. So it'll be interesting to know the light level when I bring my bike out and it's nighttime, and then that will give you an idea of the value to put here. So then it will switch to night below the value that you choose. So just to give you an example of that, you can also choose which theme it switches to. So in the day theme, it's going to use that, but you can also alternate. You can choose which theme you'd like in the daytime and which theme to switch to at night. And, you know, subsequently if you're going for a tunnel or something like that. So if I just say switch to night below 20, there we go, okay that. Right, now when I put my finger over the light sensor to make it really dark, you'll see it'll switch to the night theme. And then I take my finger off, just come out the tunnel and back to the day theme. So that's pretty much how that works. So that's your light sensor, which now has been enabled. So I'll leave that at 20 for now. That's fairly sufficient. Maybe I'll increase it to 30. I'm just making a guess here. So that's the ambient light setup. Speed correction is pretty much the same. Now you've also got additional themes. So you'll probably notice here there's a high contrast theme. So you can already see it's a bright day, and you can see the numbers here just slightly easier to read if it's a really bright day. So they're just some high contrast themes that you can choose. So yeah, and I've just switched to the green theme there, which is nice. There you go. Let's put that back on let's put that on a high contrast theme and just show you what that looks like. There you go. So that's a high contrast day theme. So you can see all the numbers are in black, the speeds in black, and all the relevant information is all in black. And it just makes it a bit easier to read, to glance down. So other options we have in this update: gear indicator setup. So obviously your front sprocket and rear sprocket settings are as they were before, but now you have a new option which allows you to specify the gear ratio update interval. Now I'll probably do another video on this, but in short, the smaller that number, it means that your gear indicator will react quickly, but may be prone to fluctuations because it's not getting an average of as many values in order to work out the gear. And the bigger the number, you'll get a more accurate gear reading, but it might just be a bit slow to respond. So you might, flick up into 6th, and then it will be like a couple of 3 seconds before it actually shows 6th gear. So you can tweak how that responds. Other options, right? So another one that's been much requested is, or rather an annoyance, is that the fan comes on straight away when you put your bike in neutral and the engine's running. So you now have different options with regards to that. You can leave it as it was, always turn on the fan if you're in neutral and the engine's running. Turn on the fan after a minute, which is similar to how the previous Yamaha clocks behaved, or you can turn on your fan above 50 degrees, or turn on your fan once you blip the throttle, and you have to blip the throttle plus 2,500 RPM for that to work. So that's that. And finally, the other options, TPMS setup. So in the TPMS kit, I recommend the Amazon kit. You have 4 sensors in there. So now you can actually, you're not restricted to using the left front and left rear sensors. You can now use any other sensors in the kit. So you lose a sensor, one breaks, or so you can now specify the IDs. Now typically left front is 2, left rear is 4. In the newer kits I've seen, the sensors have started being numbered from 0 to 3. So 0 being your front left, 1 being your front right, 2 being your rear left, and 3 being your rear right. So that just allows you to play with that and which sensors are which. You can also specify your pressure warnings. So, and this is in PSI, by the way. So when your warnings are triggered, and you'll see like a flashing warning banner, just similar to your low fuel and and those sorts of warning banners flash up if your tyre pressure gets below the values that you've specified here. So that's all the options in a nutshell, pretty much. So that's the TFT Dash version 2 software update. So I'm going to I'm just going to show you one more feature, and that's with the engine running. Right, so engine's running now. So what I'm going to do is just show you the larger gear indicator. So if I put it in gear, here you go. So your indicator's a lot bigger there, so you can see it's in first. And I'm just going to flick up through the gears. Obviously I'm on the sensor stand at the moment, so the gear indicator is going to be completely inaccurate at the minute, but as you can see, that's the larger gear indicator display. So I'm just going to flick the bike hook down. As you can see, my fans come on straight away, but that's because I've got it set to the first option. So that's the last feature. So that's the TFT Dash version 2 software updates. Any queries, let me know. And any queries, just send me an email and I'll be happy to answer. Cheers now.